Well, hello there and howdy, partner. Hope you like my hat. I love this hat. Anyway, welcome to Knuckle Sandwich MMA podcast. Today we are giving our post-fight analysis. I don't want to say analysis, but commentary and color commentary and comments. Okay, so there we go. That's probably redundant. Anyway, let's move along. Happy Sunday to everybody. My voice is a little hoarse from watching the fights last night. It was a great fight, great card. So normally I do the main card and then don't worry so much about the prelims. However, if you notice, the title of this video is "The Student Becomes the Master." The reason why I put that is because the preliminary card outshone, whatever the term is, the main card by a long shot. So I'm going to go through the whole card this time, but I'm going to start off with the prelims. Even though I finished with the ones that I feel is the best, the main event, and so on and so forth. The main event card was lackluster to say the least. However, I'm going to go over the whole card, and I'm going to talk to you about each fight the way I saw it. And that prelim card was outstanding. It was really, really, really good. So the first fight of the night, the women's strawweight fight, Mallory Martin versus Hannah Cyphers. And Hannah Cyphers fought not too long ago. So she got right back into the mix, and what a fight it was. It was super exciting, very, how should I put it? Back and forth, as back and forth as you can get. We're talking about flip-flop, okay? So first round, Hannah Cyphers, Mallory Martin. You have to excuse my dog, he's going crazy. Anyway, the first round, Hannah Cyphers came out, and they were filling each other out for the first few, maybe not even a minute or so before they started throwing some heat. And Cyphers was just connecting. She was moving very well, coming in and out. And of course, Mallory Martin was favored. Cyphers was the underdog there. And but she came out firing, and she was firing on all cylinders. It was fantastic. And she almost had her knocked out. She had her up against it. She rocked her several times. Ref was so close to stepping in to stopping that fight. And Martin was able to survive the round, but she was rocked. In fact, she was stumbling, not knowing which way her corner was at the end of the round. And then I just thought to myself, if Martin gets Cyphers down, it's over. And that's exactly what happened. So I do want to say something, because the last time I told you I picked all the losers. I mean, none of the ones that I thought would win won. And this time I picked all of them except one as winners. And so I had picked Martin over Cyphers, but Cyphers really surprised me in that first round. And then the second round, Martin came out and she threw a couple of punches, and then Cyphers threw a kick or a punch, excuse me. And right away, Martin ducked, took her to the ground, and then just started to work her. And just dominated her on the ground. It was incredible, and finished the fight with a submission. And that was the first fight of the night, and it was super exciting. I almost gave them the fight of the night, almost. And then we moved to the second fight of the prelims, and that was another strawweight fight, and that was Polyana Viana versus Emily Whitmer. And again, Viana was the favorite to win that one, and she did just that. She, man, those Brazilians, when they get on the ground, it's crazy stuff. They got some really great jiu-jitsu. So she got Emily Whitmer on the ground, and then at that point, I knew it was over, and she armbarred her in short order. I think that was a first round stoppage. And it was a really, really quick. I mean, she just maneuvered her any which way she wanted her to go. And she maneuvered her into a space where she could just do an arm bar, and she arched her back just a little bit. And Whitmer was like, tap, 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 get me out of here. Okay, and ended that one quick. So we had 2 finishes in the first 2 fights. Next up was a welterweight fight between Sean Brady and Christian Aguilera. Now, Christian Aguilera came off, he was an underdog in his previous fight, and he came off with a huge knockout win. Very exciting fighter and super tough, very strong, moves forward all the time, and is a newcomer to the UFC. Had a good showing in his first out, and had a good showing this time too. But once again, Sean Brady was the favorite, and he came out, and I believe Christian Aguilera was a late replacement for Sean Brady. And Sean Brady, man, this dude is tough. He's got some weird tattoos. He's got this giant, I don't know, some kind of devil mask on his back, but it's big. It takes up his whole back. It's really bizarre because the ink is really bright as well. But needless to say, he came out and he was throwing some heat. Both of them were throwing heat. They were tagging each other, and then finally Brady got him to the ground and submitted him. And it was a great fight, though, a back and forth. That one was probably my fight of the night, just because it was so good. But there was a lot of good fights. So we had 3 bouts on the preliminary card, on the prelims, 3 finishes. Okay, so now we come into the 4th one. Now that's why I'm so excited. My voice is a little hoarse. So now we come to the 4th one, and that is Alex Caceres, Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres versus Austin Springer. Now Austin Springer, he was a late replacement as well. Alex Caceres's previous opponent had fallen out, and so they found this Austin Springer quickly, and he came in overweight. He came in overweight 5 or 6 pounds, probably 5 pounds, and which is huge. But Caceres, he wanted to fight anyway because he likes to fight. He enjoys being in the octagon, so he took that fight. And Austin came out. Now, to me, it wasn't very competitive at all. I think Springer was very slow. He looked slow to me. He did have some good leg kicks early on, but Caceres was moving around very nicely. And you could tell, like at the very beginning, he knew he had this guy's number. He was moving out. He was staying at distance. Springer did get a couple of good kicks on him, and but then Alex got him and just started to work him, and he was in and out, and he wasn't there when Springer was throwing punches. Just wasn't there. He wasn't. He couldn't figure out the distance too well, And so when Alex got him on the ground, he submitted him. And it was a pretty cool submission. He got on his back real quick and got a great chokehold, rear naked chokehold on him. And he tapped out real fast because he knew it was deep. It was really, really deep. But the interesting thing was during the post-fight conference, they were asking him about that. And he says, Alex Caceres says, everybody's kind of known me as a striker, and I'm much more than that. And I wanted to show what I can do on the ground as well, because I'm not just a striker. I am very well rounded, and indeed, he's come a long way. I think he's won 4 in a row now. And even though the guy was a late replacement, and he came in overweight, he forfeited 30% of his purse to Alex Caceres. So it was a pretty good night for Alex Caceres with a great win as well. But he's shown a lot of different angles to his game, and he's pretty impressive. He's one of those guys that kind of go up and down. They have a few wins and then a loss and then another win and then maybe a few losses, and he just kind of goes up and down until recently. He's definitely changed his mindset. He's more positive. He said, "I'm having fun. I'm seizing the day, and I'm learning more, becoming very, very much more well-rounded." So, great fight. So, 4 prelim bouts, 4 finishes. How do you get more exciting than that? And they were great fights too. Next up was a middleweight fight with Alessio Di Chirico versus Zach Cummings. And that one, you know, it was a semi-boring fight. You know, there wasn't much happening. Um, the Alessio looked a lot bigger than Cummings, and he was moving more, and he was definitely throwing a lot more strikes. Cummings was just kind of moving, but Cummings was plodding forward and picking his shots. And they had a couple of good back and forth. Not very many. You know, the ref kept saying, "You guys got to engage. Let's engage." You know, he kept encouraging him to fight. And then they went full 3 rounds. And at the very end, as the bell rang of the 3rd round, Zach Cummings just blasted Alessio right in the jaw, and almost knocked him out, like at the last second. And the fight was over. The ref waved his hands, called it, but Alessio was stumbling to his. He didn't know where he was going. He was stumbling and almost fell again, and they had to get him on the stool. So Cummings won that fight, and I think it was that last shot pretty much that did it. Although at the end Cummings was kind of coming on strong, but that would have been a hard one to judge based on because it was pretty lackadaisical. It was it was a lackluster fight, nothing spectacular until that very end, which Cummings hit him with a pretty good shot and set that dude flying. So that fight was okay. And I think if it would have been 10 more seconds, the fight would have been over by knockout. But that wasn't the case. It was a unanimous decision, I believe, for just Zach Cummings. But good for Zach Cummings for, that win. And but the fight itself, it was okay. Next up was the middleweight fight between Maki Pitolo and Impa Kasanage. And he's a new guy. In fact, he just won a Contender Series like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and got awarded a contract to the UFC. So he's brand spanking new. And he told Dana White that he wanted to fight again ASAP. And so Dana White put him on this card. So that was only like 3 weeks ago that he was awarded a contract from the Contender Series. And here he is in the UFC, and he's fighting a monster. He's fighting a Maki Pitolo, who is, they call him coconut bombs, because he's got heavy hands. He's from Hawaii, and he's a good fighter. I love to watch this guy fight because he's never boring. And so they put in Impa Kasanganay against him, and Impa, he looked like a veteran, man. I mean, he was calm, he was cool, he was plotting. His hands were up the whole time. I really love that. He was protecting himself. And Pitolo was throwing bombs. They were both hitting each other very hard. Oh, that's the one. Okay, I changed my mind right now. This is the fight of the night right here. Okay, this one was the most action and the most back and forth of all the fights. So this is the one I'm picking for fight of the night. And but they went back and forth, and then you could see where just Kasanganay was started to tag him more. He had his beautiful jabs, very strong, and this dude is yoked, man. He's in great shape, and he has a really good fighting style. This guy is going to be somebody in the UFC now. From what I understand, also he has only been a pro fighter for a few months or something like that. He's like brand new, and he's just an athletic type of guy. I think he played football and professional football, but he's new. You can't get any newer than this guy, and he has the technique down. He's got great work ethic from his post-fight interview, and he's somebody to watch. Definitely somebody to watch. So the fight went back and forth, and that one came to a decision, and it was a unanimous decision for Kasanganay. Pitolo put up a pretty good fight, but he just started to get beat up at the end. He was taking a lot of damage. He had a hematoma over, I believe, his right eye. He was cut. and his game, he wasn't going to quit. They showed really great sportsmanship at the end, which I really like to see that too. And he said, Impas at the post fight interview, he said, now that we've spilled blood together, we're brothers. And he said, we're going to go out to eat after this interview. So that was pretty cool. But Pitolo, so I think he's lost 2 in a row. But he's so exciting. I can't see him going anywhere from the UFC. He's a really great fighter, and he's mean, and he throws coconut bombs. So that's my fight of the night. It was a great fight. It had me on the edge of my seat. It's super fantastic. And then let's move up to the main card. We have the featherweight fight between Ricardo Lamas and Bill Algeo. And Bill Algeo was another late replacement. Ricardo Lamas is, I'm trying to remember his name. His previous, he's the guy that gets you in the ankle locks. Gosh dang it. Anyway, it's left me. But he fell out due to COVID, I think, COVID-19. And testing positive. So Ricardo Lamas, they found this dude, Bill Algeo, and he was a very confident dude. I mean, you're going up against a true veteran in the sport in Ricardo Lamas, and this guy was cocky, he was moving around, and he was doing really well. He brought it, and that was a very, very tough fight, and that was probably the second or third best fight of this whole card. Ricardo Lamas, he said in his post-fight interview, I don't, because the reporter asked him, this question, this is a guy you're supposed to run to. And he goes like, you don't run through any guys when they're at the UFC level. And you really don't. These guys are all good, or they wouldn't be in the UFC. But it was a tough fight, man. And I thought for a while, because Ricardo Lamas has lost a couple, and he had his jaw broken. And when that happens, you start getting knocked out kind of easy, and he's he hasn't been doing as well as he used to do. But these guys went to war. It was just a flat out war. I would say that Algeo had some fantastic leg kicks. His jabs were really good. He was taller. He had a bit longer reach. But that third round, Lamas, he says, okay, we got to go. And he got that advice from his corner. And he went in and then put on a show. And these guys went down to the wire. But Lamas brought out the victory, which he needed very badly. And he's at that point where, do I retire? I want to make sure that I stay healthy for my family and my kids. And he's kind of at that point. And, when you hear Dana talk about that, people that talk about retirement, he says, when they start getting to that point, if they think they need to retire, they probably should. Ricardo Lamas is one of the most exciting fighters. He's never boring. He always moves forward. It will be a shame to lose him, but understandable completely. He's had quite a few fights. I think maybe 25 to 30 fights. That's a lot of fights. That's a lot of history right there. And nothing to hang his head about. He came off with a tough win from a newcomer, a tough kid. And that kid is going to have some stuff for the UFC in the future. There's a lot of new blood, man. And these guys like Casanagay and let's see, who else was the other guy? Christian Aguilera. These new guys, man. And Sean Brady, too. These guys are going to bring a lot to the table. The veterans that are watching their fights in those weight classes, they got a little bit to worry about, because you got some young, hungry bulls coming up the ranks, and they're looking to put on a show just like they did last night. So let's move up to the next one. We have the women's flyweight fight with Ji Yeon Kim versus Alexa Grasso. And I did pick Alexa Grasso to win this fight, which she did by unanimous decision. And it was a great fight, though. They were both swinging. There was a lot of action. I think they threw over 300 strikes in their fight, which is a lot, especially for the women's division. There was a lot of strikes being thrown. So it was a great fight. Great boxing by Alexa Grasso. Somebody commented as I was watching it, tweeted that she kept her head on her center line. Yeah, I don't really agree with that. I think she was moving side to side. She did catch some straight jabs from Kim, but you're gonna get hit. You don't dodge everything. But I thought, I was watching her after I saw that tweet come up, and I just thought, nah, she got hit a couple times, but she was able to get her head off the center line, and when she was moving backwards, and that was good. But I'll tell you what, that Kim is tough. She's South Korean. She was a little bit taller and had a longer reach, and she moved forward even if she was getting tagged. She still kept moving forward. So another great fight. Really happy with that fight. A lot of action. There was no finish there, but Alexa Grasso did win that, I believe, by unanimous decision, which was really good. Now, the two big fights, the two main fights, the two fights that were the biggest letdowns of the whole card. And that happens on occasion, but the next fight up is a welterweight fight which is the co-main event between Robbie Lawler and Neil Magny. Now, Lawler's been out for a while, hasn't fought for a little bit. I don't know. I think it's been a year, I believe. And then Neil Magny, and he's been keeping real busy. I picked Magny to win this one, and he did indeed win. But Lawler looked like he has not improved his game. The last time he fought, he was getting punched a lot in the head, and he kept moving forward. That's what he does. He keeps moving forward. He's really fun to watch. He was not fun to watch last night. He looked like he was tired. He looked like he had seen too many fights. Maybe too many hits to the head. He just didn't look that good to me. He didn't look sharp. He was taking shots, and he was out grappled by a guy that is not known for his grappling. Magny put on a clinic on the ground, man. He kept Robbie Lawler down and tied him up, and so many different types of submissions, attempts, and just kept going at it. And Robbie could not do anything. He defended himself for a while. Had a couple of good defenses, but you can defend yourself, but you can't defend yourself for 3 minutes, and expect to win this fight. You got to be able to, defend yourself, but also get out of it. And you got to get up, and you got to get off the mat. And he failed to do that. He couldn't do it. And then Neil Magny was able to secure I'm trying to remember the type of choke it was. It wasn't a rear naked choke. He was on top of him, but he had put his arm under his neck and then leaned forward on his head and pushed it down. And Robbie just was out. It was a pretty tough way to go. I mean, it was, I kind of felt bad for him. So Neil Magny won that one by TK. No, by knockout, I think, or TKO. Yeah. And then comes the main card of the night. Is a light heavyweight fight between, which is the main event for Anthony Smith and Alexander Rakic. And I couldn't pick one. I couldn't pick a winner on this one. But in hindsight, I think Anthony Smith, he just looked like a former shell. I don't think he's been the same since his last fight. He really made a change when he fought John Jones. He got beat up pretty bad. He turtled up quite a bit, and really just didn't have any answer. He looked good at the beginning, but as soon as he started getting hurt, he seemed to turtle up. And then I'm trying to remember who he just fought last. Gosh darn it. I should have made a note. My apologies. But he lost to the Brazilian guy, and he got beat up in that one too, and then he fought Alexander Rakic, and Rakic had some big leg kicks right at the very beginning. I mean, like one of the first things thrown was a leg kick, and it was a hard calf kick. And right away, it was weird because it's like Smith just accepted it, and he started taking a bunch of leg kicks to where he actually did a double leg kick type thing and he collapsed him on the ground. Smith went down, and then Rakic was on. And then once Rakic got on top of him, he just kind of mauled him, and he just kept him on the ground. It wasn't a super exciting fight. I don't want to make it sound like it was, because it wasn't. There was a lot of other commentators that said, why didn't he just let him back up? Because he would have finished him with just leg kicks, because his legs were so hammered that Rakic would have just finished him with leg kicks if he wanted to, but he didn't. He just kind of sat him on the ground and was going for different submission attempts and so forth, and it didn't pan out. So it went to a decision, but it was a unanimous decision. Rakic won, but Smith. He's questioning if he should go down, drop back down to 185, but he's not going to make that weight anymore. And the 205, he said this guy was just, Rakic was too big and too strong for him. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get off the ground. I couldn't do anything. To me, though, it looked like he gave up. I mean, after he took a couple of heavy leg kicks, and then got taken down and got punched a few times. He had that same look, that he had with John Jones, and it was just like, get me out of here. How do I get out of here? And it almost seemed like he wanted this guy to submit him so he could just tap and get out, but most guys are not going to. And I don't know what's going through his head. I'm just saying what I saw. I think Anthony Smith, before John Jones fight, he was a monster, and he was, and he was very active and stuff. But I think once he realizes I can't beat this guy, then it appears to me that he just kind of gives up. I don't know. I don't want to say anything other than that, but it looked like he just kind of gave up there and, just wanted that fight to end. And based on his post-fight commentary, that's exactly what happened. He just said he was too big. He was too strong. I couldn't get him off me. I didn't have anything couldn't do anything. Maybe I should go down to 185. But I know I can't make that weight because I'll kill myself trying to cut that weight. And so, at the end of a fight like that, when you lose like that and you can't do anything with your opponent, just like Lamas, he said, maybe I'll retire, maybe I won't. It's hard, and you're in that emotional state, and you don't know what you want to do. And sometimes you have doubts, and it looked like Anthony Smith had great doubts after the fight and during the fight as well. He looked like, he wasn't listening to his coaches. The coach was trying to give him some great advice, and he was just kind of doing his own thing, So it almost looked like he made up his mind that he could not beat Rakic. And so that's it for my report. And I was really super, super stoked with the preliminary card, and also the Alexa Grasso, Ji Young Kim fight was really good. Ricardo Lamas and Bill Algeo was another really good fight with from the main card. So just the two main events, the main event and the co-main event, they just weren't very good. They weren't very good this time around. But hey, last time we had a great card. The whole card was awesome. So, you can't win them all, right? Anyway, we got another fight card coming up pretty soon, and I will keep you guys in the loop. Anyway, thanks for watching Knuckle Sandwich, and have a great day. We'll see you after the next one. Keep punching, my friend.